It's another beautiful day out here in the Shire. So let's head inside and see what Renee is up to in the kitchen.
I love a lard crust. It's tender, it's flaky, and it's traditional. But what it's lacking is butter flavor. That's where this comes in. 1 spoonful gives it all the golden richness that it needs without watering down the dough. You don't need to pick between flake and flavor anymore. This crust gives you both, and I'm going to show you how. So the first step, we're going to put some flour in our mixing bowl. We're going to put a little bit of salt and a little bit of sugar. I want a sweetened crust. You can put less sugar than I have here, or you can put no sugar. But today I'm making a sweetened pie crust. One pie crust, not a double. Mix that all together. And then the next thing you want to do is your fat. You can, hold on, I gotta get the fat.
My fridge throws a party every day. Flashlights.
Today, I'm going to use lard. I'm working with lard lately. I'm loving it. It's been years since I worked with lard. So I'm going to make a pie crust with lard. The key point of any fat that you're using is to keep it ice cold. I keep it in the refrigerator, and we're going to add this to our flour mixture. So we're going to get that scraped off. Try not to touch your dough at all, if at all possible. And then we're going to take a pastry blender and we're going to cut that in. We want this to look like sand or pebbles, I guess. Okay, so I kind of like the way that looks. Those bigger chunks pop in the oven when you're cooking this. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add very cold liquid to this pie. This is butter extract. I have a video on how to make this. It's vodka and butter, and it is delicious. And I want to add this taste. If you add vodka to your pie crust, it's a great cold substance to put in there. So we're going to replace some of the liquid with this vodka butter sauce, which is going to add a nice butter, kind of a hint of butter to this. We're probably going to use about a tablespoon or 2, and I will let you know when we get going. It depends on your flour in the day, so I'm just going to put a little bit of this in. That's probably a tablespoon there. And we're going to give this, once again, you're just pulling this. You don't want to squish down on it because that's going to make that flake break. Oh, and I can smell that butter and the vodka. Yum. Okay, we're going to add a little bit more. And that's another probably tablespoon there. Let me add just a little bit more. And this is all by eye for me, but I will make sure I have the right measurements there. I still don't like the way that's looking. So I feel like we've added enough flavor. I'm going to add a little bit of ice water. That's looking much better. The flour is melding in. Okay, I'm going to go one more time around and then I'm going to call that good. That's great.
I don't know about you. I can't wait to see what happens next, right after this.
Okay, so this looks great. This is the main touching time for this dough. So I'm going to take this and pour it onto the counter, and you can see that it's still crumbly. We're going to push this together so that it's on top of all of that dry stuff, and we're just going to kind of gently press this into a circle. And while I'm pressing very quickly, it's grabbing all of that stuff that was left over. I think there are people that would tell you that this is the wrong way to do this, but over the years, if you can not touch this and let the rolling pin do the next part of the work and get that mixed in, the pie crust comes out so flaky. Some people actually need this at this point to put this together. It hurts my heart to touch this too much. So I am going to leave this just like this. I'm going to scrape this off for just a second and put a little flour down on my board. And I love this little sheet here because if you're working with a pie dough, it tells you exactly how big you want it to be. If you're not comfortable with that, I'll also give you a couple of tips on how to fit this to the pie crust. I'm going to take a little bit more flour and put it on my rolling pin. Just make sure that's not going to stick. And then we're going to start rolling this into a circle, and you'll see those cracks, but you're going to see them disappear. And I keep pushing that in. Your rolling pin is a great tool to get that shape the way you want it. You just keep rolling it out. A little more flour. It's sticking a little bit. I'm just going to put some over the top of that. You want to be scant with the flour that you add to this. Okay. And if you just take your rolling pin and put the pressure on this side, it helps you keep that circle. So here I am going to go around like this. And I'm just holding this so that it's not pressing down. And then you get this, your circle stays. Just keep going around and that crack disappears. All right, so I've got a 9-inch pie plate here. That is not quite big enough. You want this to come over the edge at least 1 inch to 2 inches, and then you'll know it's going to fit. And that, I don't, as you can tell, I'm not even using the circular part. So let's try this again. That's much better. See how that's, now I know that's going to go in and it's going to be okay. Okay, so now comes the fun part. How do we get this into the pie pan? And this dough is so short that it's going to have a tendency to want to crack. So I take my, just take something so you can get it underneath there. Give it a good flat push underneath. You can see it right there. You want to just see if you can get into the middle. And keep this flat. And just keep going in there, because no matter how much flour you put on this, it's going to stick at some point and you're going to rip your pie dough. So I always go through and do this. And so the next thing I do with the help of this spatula is I fold this in half. And don't worry about cracks. This is a short, like I said, short dough acts weird. So the next thing, you can either pick it up like this if you're comfortable, or you can actually fold it over like this. Pick it up with your spatula, and then put your corner of your circle, the triangle here, in the middle of that pie plate. Then you quickly and gently push that over. Don't worry about those cracks. Okay, and here we go. Okay, so we're going to put those cracks back together, just gently touching it to get that mixed so you don't have holes. And seeing those cracks used to make me panic, and then I realized that all I had to do was gently push them down and everything is going to be okay. And so now we've got a perfect pie crust, and a lot of people at this point will cut this stuff off of the edge. I am going to cut a little bit off because it's a little bit uneven. So I'm going to take a pair of scissors and kind of make this You actually don't have to do this. If you just take a piece of this dough and roll it up like that, you've got a nice big pie crust, but I want it to be even all the way around. So I am going to take a little bit more off, and I'm going to use this. And because this is not hanging over here, I'm going to put a little piece here. Marry that in, mush that in. Okay. So there we have, I'm happy with that. And then I am going to take this pie dough and I'm going to start rolling it up. And I'm, as much as you can, push that in and tighten it up, but you never want to squeeze your pie crust. I'm gently just rolling it up and under. You want to pull it back so it's against the far edge so it doesn't shrink. Pie crust is very fixable. As long as you don't touch it, it's still going to taste great. It's okay to have to do some damage control. Okay, so I love the way that looks. And now we're going to make this look even better. I'm going to flour my fingers just a little bit for right here, and we're going to start pushing. I'm taking my finger and I'm just pushing in the side, pushing back so that the edges all end up against here so it doesn't shrink and fall in. And then we're just going to go all the way around. Just make sure you're happy with all of your work. Very little touching, and that pie crust is ready to be filled with your favorite filling. And I am actually going to be using this for a Kentucky transparent pie, which I just learned about in the last couple of days, and I am very excited to try it. So check that out here.
We've got lots more great recipes coming up for you to watch. So until then,
Thank you.